I was going to do this look yesterday because I really wanted to dip into this beautiful, like olivey, golden antique green shade here. But then I relapsed and instead I used Gigabyte from Pat. Anyway, I'm going to do this chatty get ready with me style, so I'm just going to be, you know, applying all of my makeup and chatting you up. I'm going to start with my MAC 24 Extend Eye Base. I always prime my eyelids with this specific primer, although I shall tell you a little thing. Lately, and by lately I mean the last year, I've had the feeling that I have to use twice as much product for my eyeshadows not to budge. And by eyeshadows not budging, I mean my eyeshadows literally not moving for the 14 hours that I tend to wear them. I've become very picky like this. Even if my eyeshadow starts to crease after 12 hours, I'm already like, nope, this is unacceptable. What if I have a really long day and my eyeshadows really need to stay? And I had the feeling, or maybe I just haven't really worn my eyeshadows that long in the past. I really can't tell. I can't tell, but either something has changed in my taste and in my skin, or the MAC primer has become diluted or something, and I have to use a lot more in order to get my eyeshadows to stay. Now when I use enough, my eyeshadows do not budge, but because of that I kind of became curious, and already actually a while back I ordered the one of the Urban Decay primer potions and the Inglot eyeshadow primer. They're currently sitting in my backup makeup drawer, and when I finish the MAC base I will dip into those. And I am specifically interested in the one from Inglot because Inglot is so much more affordable than MAC. This primer has also increased in price quite significantly since I started purchasing it. I think even when I can get it on sale now, the cheapest I can get it on sale for is like 18 or 19 euros, which is relatively expensive. So eventually you will see me use a different primer, but not for now. I'm going to get my beloved Glow Lust by Auric to use as usual underneath my eyes to brighten them up. Speaking of Pat, I have such an exciting announcement, and okay, I'm not getting PR from Pat, don't get your hopes up, but I found something on Vinted that I have been looking for several years now. It's a kit that I do not know the name of because I cannot for the life of me ever keep track of how her kits are called, but I can put like a screenshot of it somewhere on the screen so that you can see it. I'll just plug it in somewhere here. It is a kit which contains several baked shades, including a black baked shade, this like taupey silvery golden kind of shade, and one more baked shade. Oh yeah, Astral White in the baked formula, of course. Well, Astral White is now also in the Subliminal palette, but once upon a time it was actually in her single baked shades. And it contains this beautiful like bronzy pigment. It contains again the stupid eye gloss, which I will have two of. I have no idea what to do with them. Nobody will even take them from me for free. And it contains also a brush and that smudgy black thick liner thing that I also don't know how it's called. To be honest with you, the biggest reason I bought these for obviously is for the baked eyeshadows, but I think the black smudgy thing might be useful at some point. I'm taking the concealer from First Aid Beauty, and I think the brush, I'm curious about the brush. I don't really have high hopes for brushes because I haven't really heard anything very exciting about Pat's brushes, but you know, it comes in a kit and I was able to find it for a really good price. I think originally this kit was way over 100 euros and I was able to find it for 70 euros on Vinted. And according to the girl who was selling it, it is new. To be honest with you, I acted so impulsively, I just immediately purchased it without even writing her a message. Usually on Vinted people don't really sell new makeup, but you have to say that it's new, otherwise Vinted will like flag you, because technically you're not allowed to sell used makeup on Vinted. But it seems like it's new because the picture that she showed really was like the products seemed untouched. But even if it's a little bit used, I still don't care. And I've been hoping for years, I'm going to take my NARS foundation now, by the way, and I've been hoping for years and years that she's going to really re-release that kit when she opens the vault, but never have I ever seen this kit come back. So I kind of like gave up hope. So I've been searching for it high and low, and by high and low I mean every now and then I would like search on Marktplaats or Vinted, It's not like I was willing to spend pretty coin for it on eBay. Like, I would never pay more than what I paid for it, or something in the range of almost 100 euros. I would never pay more than that for this kit. But, you know, I've been hoping that it will come back at some point. And I'm so excited to finally have it. She hasn't shipped it yet, but I expect that it will be here within the next 2 weeks. Oh my gosh, why is this foundation always so much more full coverage than I think it should be? Anyway, speaking of foundation, I finally finished some Estee Lauder foundations, which is why I'm switching to this NARS one. So you will finally see me switch up to different foundations in my collection. And I'm kind of happy that these two foundations are kind of gone, because one was really old and one was really old. But you will hear all about them in my monthly roundup and empties for November, where they're naturally going to end up. What I do really like about this NARS foundation though is that it has the light yellow tinge that I need, because I am more like yellow or olive toned. Can't really be sure. Some people say that I have olive tones. Sometimes I look at myself and I think I'm more yellow than olive. But anyway, I feel like this foundation is a better match for me than my Estee Lauder foundations. I think my Estee Lauder foundations tend to be a little too pinkish for me. But with that said, I love the formula so much that I was willing to overlook it. Taking the Airbrush Flawless filter with my cute Koiro Kabuki here to set my foundation. I have so been enjoying this little kabuki guy, you guys. It is so soft, and once you start buffing, especially like your setting finishing powder on your face, it really helps the powder to get into your skin and really blur those pores. I love it so much. For bronzer, I'm going to dip into my Gucci bronzer, because it just gives me so much joy to open this compact, because it is so beautiful. Taking that on my also beloved Sonergy Hinoki brush. I'm so sorry, one of my friends is texting me here to congratulate me on something. A PhD student from our lab will be graduating soon, and I am her co-promoter, which means that I will be in her, like, it's called the Corona in Dutch, but it has nothing to do with COVID. It's like the promoters, the people who are going to, you know, judge her thesis. They usually like sit in the front of the aula when the PhD student is defending, and it's going to be my first time being on the other side. I'm usually in the audience, and this is going to be my first time actually sitting with all the, you know, big bosses in the front, which I must tell you is a little bit scary and a little bit feels super weird. But one of my friends is texting me about it because she's really excited that I'm finally going to be on the other side. I don't think anything exciting happens on the other side, FYI. I'm just going to sit there and smile. Or you look serious. For blush today, I'm going to take one of my melting powder blushes from Suku, because we haven't really used Suku on my channel for a while, and I've been using them a bit more in my private life, but even so, I kind of got distracted by other things in the meantime, so I've really been, you know, enjoying dipping into them lately. This is the shade 05, by the way, which is this a very interesting sort of like yellow tinged orange, which is perfect if you're going to do eyeshadow looks with like more olive toned eyeshadows. At least I feel like it just brings about such a beautiful contrast. It's just warm, but it's not too orange. It's so lovely. I'm kind of mixing it up when it comes to brands today. So for my highlighter, I am going to take a little bit of my beloved Pat. I'm going to put Golden Moonlight, which I consider to be the perfect highlighting shade for my skin tone, because unlike a lot of other highlighters that I have from Pat, which tend to be a little bit too dark for me and sort of like leave a little like streak on my cheekbones, this one is the perfect, you know, just catches the light when I turn my face, but it actually melts with my own skin tone, because it is that perfect golden champagne. As usual, I'm going to spritz my Real Techniques sponge here with a little bit of Fix Plus, just to, you know, work that into my skin here, so that all the powders melt beautifully with each other and on my skin. Okay, now that you're nicely zoomed in, but you still have a view of Lisa, it's very important that we keep Lisa in the frame, we're going to go into the eyeshadow. Now, I considered at first to only use the Sorcery palette, because obviously we want to kind of like focus on each individual palette to use, you know, on its own. But the matter of fact is that if I do that, this is going to be like the simplest look in the world, because it's going to be like a one eyeshadow look. Because the reason is you only get this matte over here, which has more of like a blue tone to it, and I'm just not feeling like the blue tones today. I really want to keep it more to this like olive green tone. And to be honest with you, I kind of want to dip back into the black from the Vega palette. So I am going to mix and match a little bit the two palettes. I'm not going to fuck around with removing the eyeshadows and putting them together in my own little curation. I will probably do that at some point. But for today, I'm just kind of going to mix the two palettes. If you only have the Sorcery palette, frankly just go for a one and done eyeshadow look, because I think that's going to look beautiful. But I want to do something a little bit more complicated, so I am actually going to start off with this shade through my crease. I'm going to put this one in my lashes and a little bit in my outer corner, and only then am I going to go back into the Sorcery palette in order to apply that gorgeous Madrigal shade all over my lids. So I sincerely hope that you don't mind that. I'm taking the tiniest amount of that slightly deeper brown from the Vega palette and going to start carving my crease with that, just to create a bit of definition. And you can see this applies very nice and very soft if you don't go in with too much product. I personally find one of the nicest things about these eyeshadows that they are so unbelievably buildable. Because they feel like creams, they're like almost like dummy proof, because you can't really pick up that much product unless you really go at it. If you just dip your brush in there and you start applying it on your skin, you will see that you're able to apply these eyeshadows in the small increments that you want in order to, you know, build up as much as you want and not be stuck with something that's already too deep from the get-go. Okay, next I'm taking the Vega palette and going into the black. And speaking of the black, one of you asked me if I like this black more than Pat McGrath's Labs blacks. And I consider that a relatively difficult question to answer, because Pat has given us quite a few different textures when it comes to her blacks. She has that baked eyeshadow that comes in that kit, which is a completely different formula than what you're getting, for example, in the Motherships. There is a black shade in Motherships 1, 2, and I want to say 3 also has a black. And that is more of like a true like matte powder eyeshadow, compared to this one, which is more of like a cream to powder formula. So the texture of these eyeshadows is completely different. But then again, Pat also has a black in one of her Opulence 2018 6-pan eyeshadows. I think it's the Dark Star, the one with the blue outer packaging on it, which is again a different formula of black, which more or less reminds me of what you can find in the Lisa Eldridge palette. But of course, that black is long gone because it was part of a limited edition release 4 years ago. So obviously not something that a lot of people will have access to. So in that sense, I can say if you're just comparing the Motherships to this, I personally prefer this because of how easy the formula is. But I also don't want to make it sound like the formula in the Motherships is difficult, because let me tell you, before the Motherships, I was not a believer in black eyeshadow. I was like, no, they're too difficult to work with, they don't do anything for me. I don't want to have anything to do with black eyeshadow. But then I tried the black eyeshadows in the Mothership palettes, and I was so surprised because they were so unbelievably easy to work with. And again, they had that like slightly buildable quality to them. I'm taking a slightly bigger blending brush because I want to diffuse this black, and the little detail brush from Sonia G is not really meant to do that. So again, they are not bad black eyeshadows, they are excellent quality. They're just a slightly different texture. And in terms of texture, I think I prefer this one just a little bit more, but like a smidge more, not more than that. I think if you ask my personal opinion on comparison between Pat's eyeshadows and Lisa Eldridge's eyeshadows, the biggest difference will be that Lisa Eldridge's eyeshadows are more dummy proof compared to Pat's eyeshadows. Pat's eyeshadows can pack a punch, and they can be difficult, especially if you are, you know, more of a casual makeup user who doesn't want to fuss around with eyeshadows that are too pigmented and too blingy and all of that. Then I think Lisa Eldridge is much more your style than Pat McGrath, and that also holds for the how easy and user-friendly the eyeshadows are. I just think the eyeshadows from Lisa Eldridge are a little bit more user-friendly, and not because they are of better quality, but just because of, you know, the way she has created them, and her aesthetic is much more geared towards the consumer that prefers fuss-free makeup. I don't necessarily think that Pat is geared towards people who like fuss-free makeup. And now, just so you don't think that something has gone horribly wrong with me and I've started to not use glitter glue, I am going to take my glitter glue here from NYX and apply that on the lid so that I can apply that glorious olive green eyeshadow over top of that. And in order to apply Madrigal, I'm actually just going to go in with my fingers over here, because I think that will deliver the biggest amount of impact. And I'm all about impact here. That is so pretty. And I think it's actually good that I wore Gigabyte yesterday, because I can immediately tell you they're so incredibly different from one another. When you put Gigabyte on your lids, Gigabyte has more of like a yellow antique golden tone, and this is so much more green. So if you were worried that you were duping yourself, if you already owned Gigabyte, then trust me, you are not. You are getting a slightly different tone of the same glorious like antique golden green olive, you know, situation. This is so pretty. I'm going to give it just a light blend here in the crease. Like I said, if you don't want to fuck around with a transition shade and a black shade, you can immediately go into this green shade, put it all over your lids, blend it out, done. Now, as we agreed also during the demo, none of these eyeshadow palettes really has an appropriate inner corner highlight for me, so I'm just going to be grabbing my Golden Moonlight from Pat McGrath again to apply that here into the inner corners of my eye. If you were feeling really adventurous, you could also pop a little bit of the luminous shade, the luminous duochrome shade from Sorcery, over top of the green. But because that luminous shade has those bluish greenish type of sparkle in it, and I want to keep it, you know, more in the olive green tone family today, I'm not going to apply any of that shade over top. On my lower lashes, I'm kind of going to repeat what I did on my upper lashes, and I'm just going to apply the tiniest bit of the black and blend that out with the brown shade, and that will pretty much conclude this eye look. Super easy. And just in case you were curious if Madrigal is a sparkly shade, it is a beautiful sparkly shade. It's just that my gloomy daylight isn't really doing it a lot of justice, but it is gorgeous. I figured we can also stick to Lisa Eldridge when it comes to the lips, and I thought Affair would be the absolutely perfect finishing touch. I'm wearing the lipstick in combination with the gloss because of those slightly caramel warmer tones that Affair has. Honestly, Sorcery would look really beautiful as well, but I've been wearing Sorcery quite a bit because I wore it yesterday and I wore it the day before, and quite a bit actually means that I've worn it like 2 times. But you know, I wanted to switch it up a little bit, and I just feel like this is a beautiful like color palette. Now I'm going to plug a note to myself here when I'm editing this video, that I'm going to also insert a picture of me wearing Gigabyte. I'm going to just slightly move here to the side so that I can put somewhere on the screen here next to me the photo of me wearing Gigabyte, just so you can really tell the difference between the 2 eyeshadows. It just occurred to me that maybe there are similar shades in my Smoke Sessions palette, but they really aren't, because this is the shade from Lisa, and these are the 2 like more olivey antique golden greens from Smoke Sessions, and they are still quite different from each other. All of them are beautiful in their own way, it's just that they are not the same shade, which makes me really happy. And also it reminds me I need to pull out Smoke Sessions again. It's very strange though, I was touching my metallic eyeshadows now from the Smoke Sessions palette, and I have the feeling that they are a little bit drier than what I remember them being. I remember them being very creamy and very soft, and now they feel a little bit drier. I don't know if I should be concerned about that. Anywho, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I wanted to also say a warm welcome to everyone who has joined my channel in the last couple of days. I really hope you're going to enjoy it here and you didn't come under the false pretenses that you expect me to review every luxury makeup item that is being released, because that is not what my channel is about. But you know, you're here. I hope that you're going to have a good time, and if not, you can always check out. As usual, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!